Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of the Facebook Friday Q&A here on OTR Essential. Let's see how many questions I can get through in the next 15 minutes or so. Ethan Tompkins kicks us off with the question I've been waiting for more people to ask. I see people comment on it all the time, make cracks about it all the time, but rare is it when I actually get a question about it. And Ethan Tompkins says, I almost feel bad for asking this, but here it goes. Do you have a form of Tourette's? Don't feel bad about it, man. I try to be as open and honest and genuine as real deal as I possibly can be about this type of stuff because sometimes I think it might help some of you. It humanizes me a little bit. I guess any number of things. But never be afraid to ask me any question like that. Don't feel bad about it. You didn't ask it in a disrespectful way at all. You're just curious. You want to know. You see my eye twitching on camera, and it seems like, frankly, over the past 12 to 18 months, it's gotten worse. I know that I feel it because I'm the one that it's happening to. I know you guys see it, and even if you don't comment it probably aggravates you or annoys you or makes you wonder a little bit. So I don't think it's out of bounds to ask the question at all. Frankly, like I said, I'm surprised more people haven't. The answer is yes, to a degree. It was diagnosed back when I was, I think, 9 years old. So yeah, I'm almost 34 now, so about almost 25 years of dealing with this. It honestly started manifesting itself right around the time that my dad got into a relationship with a woman, and he was getting ready to settle down and remarry. That's when it seemed like it really started to manifest because my parents had divorced a couple of years before, thank God. So anyways, with that said, at first, people around me thought I was faking it or trying to do it to get attention. And that was the painful thing about it. It was both my mom and my dad. They thought I was faking it. They thought I was doing something just to get attention, that I was lashing out because of this or lashing out because of that. And, it used to be a lot worse. I would not so much have the eye twitch that you see, but the bigger problem would be the eyes rolling like up into the top of my head, like that, or I'd be sitting there like this, or my tongue would be coming out, or my neck would be spasming, or my arm would be twitching. And, it's really painful, frankly, when the people around you that you love that are supposed to have the most faith in you and believe in you the most are basically, for lack of a better term, saying you're being a liar and you're being a faker. And, if I'm a faker, if I'm a worker on this, man, I'm a hell of a fucking worker because I've been doing this shit for 2.5 fucking decades. What happened was eventually, after a while, my mom actually started to believe me that I wasn't lashing out, that I wasn't making this shit up, and we found out that I did indeed have a mild form of Tourette's, which would lead to sometimes the unexplained outbursts from me, which would explain some of the nervous tics that I have. I mean, it wasn't like the type of Tourette's where you would sit there and associate with where the person just randomly says, "Fuck shit, piss, goddamn it," stuff like that, even though I've been known to say that from time to time. And, it was like you used to see, if you remember Chris Jackson from LSU, he went on to be Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf in the NBA. He had that problem. But it used to be a lot worse. It got better over the years. Like, the biggest way it manifests now is obviously the eye twitch that I know you all see, that I know you all notice, whether you commented or not. It's there. Come on. Let's acknowledge it. It is what it is. And sometimes I'll have a problem where for some reason my arm will start twitching like this uncontrollably. I don't know if you've seen that on camera very much. That's why I usually will have a chair like this, and I either try to keep my hands moving a lot. It's not just because of my sales background over the years, but it's also sometimes I'll be like this to prevent this from starting to twitch like this. And then the only other problem I'll really have is that if I ever have to wear a tie, it really bothers me. And I don't know, it's like it's an involuntary reaction where my body thinks I'm choking and my neck will start spasming. It's just really painful for me, frankly, to wear a tie. I still occasionally will have a problem with the eyes rolling into the top of my head, which creates problems in any type of intense real-world situation where I'm in a discussion or an argument and I'm trying to get my point across. And when somebody's talking to me, I'm worked up, my anxiety levels up, my stress levels up. And then my eyes start rolling into the top of my head, and people think that I'm rolling my eyes at them or that I'm doing this or I'm trying to make this type of statement when I'm not. So it sucked. And in some ways, it's been an incredible burden, and at times it has really affected my life. However, with that said, I've done the best I can to work around it. I've done the best I can to control it. And I will also say that there are many, many people that are burdened with far, far worse things in this world. So if this is the worst draw that I've gotten so far at almost 34 years of age, I consider myself fortunate, I consider myself lucky, and I just have to learn to eat shit like the taste of it and deal with this the best I possibly can to make the best out of it. But, I'm not embarrassed of it. It is who I am. I'm most certainly not going to hide from it. And I appreciate the question from you, Ethan. Mad respect to you for actually asking the question that a lot of people seem to have wanted to ask, but never really did, and instead would make their little funny quips about it. Personally, I don't take it personal, by the way. I don't get offended when you make fun of it, because I think it's funny, because that's been my coping mechanism for it for years. So there you go. Hope that kind of answers that question about it. I'm sure now I'll get some requests to do a video about it. God damn it. Thomas Barr. Should the WrestleMania main event match be a triple threat or fatal four-way? No. We don't need the same shit as last year. Let's focus on this guy versus this guy. Let's make them two compelling characters. Let's give a really interesting story, and let's have a one-on-one Monster Mania main event match. Edsel Laurel. What if Brock Lesnar chooses to resign with the WWE instead of going back to MMA? How would he be booked then after Mania? That's a great question. Because you built him up to such a moment. What happens if he loses him? What do you do after that? You'd almost have to have him have like Seth Rollins cash in the briefcase, but not have Lesnar lose in a clean, straight-up way. It's a significant question. I think he's gone, though, personally. Josh Allen, do you like anime? No. Do I hate it? No. Has it ever been really my flavor? No. So I just reserve judgment. I don't mock anybody for liking it. I don't knock anybody for hating it. It's just not my deal, but I don't really hate on it. Reggie Newman Neal Jr., do you think if the crowd today was the same as 10 years ago, they say Batista wasn't ready to win the Rumble and that Eddie Guerrero should have run the Rumble, especially considering how Eddie lost his WWE title and kept getting screwed out of title shots? Yeah, probably. Don't get me wrong, the internet was around, back in 2004, 2005, but you didn't have the social media platforms that you do now. So, yeah, it would have been a huge deal. You've had all types of people bitching about that. You most certainly would have. I don't dispute that. Sean Anderson, how many yes movements would it take for Vince and Triple H to realize they're whipped by the IWC? At the end of the day, and even the whole term of IWC, it's something I've said myself over the past few years, and I kind of need to get away from that. Hardcore faction of fans, or the hardcore fans, that's legitimate. That's a different type of fan. But, a lot of people on the internet now, even though there are those people that are hardcore fans that come on the internet to talk specifically about wrestling, that is an IWC in theory. But as far as your question about how many yes movements, that ain't happening. Triple H and Vince are most certainly never going to sit there and say that they're whipped by the IWC, because the truth of the matter is those hardcore wrestling fans, of which we are all a part of, we are the WWE's Tea Party, and they're the GOP. And it's that simple. And I'll be talking about that more in the video to come. They'll never be whipped by us. Get the hell out of here with that. Adam Bauer. Who would you pick as being the most overrated and underrated champions of each of the three major title belts in each of the three WWE eras? Why you got to go sit there and ask a question that's going to take several minutes to answer? Oh, Christ almighty. In terms of a world champion, though, in terms of a guy that I think was propped up much more by the WWE than what he really brought to them, I'd say both Cena and Triple H, frankly. And I'd also say Shawn Michaels, too. I would. I'm just saying. So that answers part of your question, at least. Josh Giles. With Miz and Sandow and Goldust and Stardust likely breaking up in the future, who will be the next tag team the Usos wrestle on every show for the next 6 months? Probably Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Baba Wadillo. When did you realize the invasion angle was going to suck? I assume you were somewhat excited for it when it started. WrestleMania 17. That's when I knew. I knew they were going to do some type of invasion angle. And when they were pointing up to, Shane was pointing up to the boys and girls from WCW sitting up in the box. I'm like, yeah, whatever they're going to do, this is about to suck. Especially once Austin heel turn happened that night. I said, this is going to really suck. And it did! Jared Anthony Simmons, do you think a big part of the reason Cena gets so much heat from fans is because Triple H called out Cena in a promo saying Cena sucks at wrestling and the fans fed off of it? No, I don't think that's it at all. There are many reasons that hardcore fans resent Cena on many different levels, and I don't think Triple H was saying anything that fueled any more of the fire. It just maybe helped some of them people feel validated in what they think. Dom Kelly, will WWE ever bring back the Iron Man match and submission match? Well, I mean, they had an Iron Man match not too long ago. I think it was Cena and Orton, didn't they? Am I forgetting another one more recently? I might be. Um, yeah, so I'd assume they bring that back again at some point. Mario, the King of Hearts, Alcime. Favorite Royal Rumble matches? 92. Always at or near the top of the list. 98 was another one of mine that I really, really, really liked in terms of actual Rumble matches. So those would be two that really stand out to me when I think about them. Nick Anderson, is Kane ruining his legacy with this shit spew he's been doing? I mean, it's kind of diminishing Kane and, lowering Kane on the pedestal, that's for sure. Victor Quintero, how high are the chances of Seth Rollins cashing in at WrestleMania, and what would Summer's reaction be? You probably envision what Summer's reaction would be. Seth Rollins' chances of cashing in are 50-50, if not better. I think they have to do it. They have to go there. Because if at that point in time, if you don't do it by then you just need to have Rollins try to cash in and fail. That's the moment, that's the opportunity. You want Rollins to be established, and you want Rollins to have that buzz about him, then he needs to do the one thing nobody else has done, which is cash in that bank briefcase at WrestleMania and walk out the champion. Not the night after on Raw, not the next pay-per-view, not at fucking Fastlane. He needs to do it at WrestleMania. That is the crescendo of perfect timing and opportunity and circumstance, and the only chance you have to do it with him, period. Everett Harding, what are some notable revisionist lies told by WWE when it comes to the Monday Night Wars? That Vince was the ultimate conqueror, and as a result, he is to be credited for everything. There's also lies about how the WWE changed like it was some great epiphany of theirs, even though all they were doing was doing what Vince has done best, is take somebody else's ideas, rip them off, make them his own, and make them better. That's what he did with Starrcade. He made WrestleMania. It's the truth. The Attitude Era, that shit came from ECW and WCW long before that ever hit the WWF. What else is revisionist history? Was just that once Austin and McMahon came on the scene that they were so incredibly fucking hot that the WCW was doomed forever. And that's just clearly not the case. Revisionist lies are talking about how Vince Russo killed WCW, which again is totally revisionist and totally lies. Talking about how bad Eric Bischoff was and all the crap that he did, all the while negating all the bad crap that WWF did during that time. Let's not forget they were doing that whole Billionaire Ted and Nacho Man and Huckster crap. They were sitting there sending DX in a tank to the freaking WCW show. I mean, WWF has, created a narrative and nurtured it very well over the past 14 years. But they've done many things that have been either a spin on the truth or flat out lies, frankly. Okay, so let's see here. Ellis Watson, is WWE's reputation outside of the wrestling world damaged beyond repair? No. WWE is what it is, and people have a certain view of it. And frankly, there are plenty of people that used to think at least, that it's cooler than it actually would be to what they said. And a lot of people that were closet wrestling fans. There's no question about that. There's absolutely no question about that. Okay. Davon Evans, what are your thoughts on Vince being mad that Titus botched his Rumble elimination, then Reigns being booed out of the building? I didn't know Titus O'Neil botched his Rumble elimination. I guess I hadn't seen that. And as far as Reigns winning, if that's what he signed off on, then why would he be mad about it? Stand your ground. Stick to your guns. So Vince has been known for. Why change that shit now? Cave last year, he needs to make sure that he lets everybody know that that's a once-in-a-time thing and that shit ain't going to continue. Because if it does, and you allow 20 to 25% of your audience to dictate what the other 75% are going to want, then it's going to have horrible connotations for the rest of your product and for your overall bottom line. So thanks again to you guys that submitted all of your questions. Sorry I can't get through all of them, but there are time constraints and I've got other shit to do, frankly. So thanks for your questions. Stay tuned for more content this weekend coming up on OTR Central.